That gorgeous new lawn you put in last spring, half of it didn't come back, did it? Here's the scene. You're standing in the home center and you grab the big cheap bag of grass seed because it's half the price of the fancy stuff and the front of the bag says grows anywhere. You spread it, you water it, and by July the yard looks incredible. Thick, green, done. Then the next spring rolls around, the snow melts off, and a good third of that beautiful lawn is just bald brown dirt again. Here's the part that'll get you. There's a little tag stapled to the back of that seed bag. The government actually forces them to print it, and it tells you in plain black and white numbers exactly how much of what you bought was never going to live through a second summer. I'll show you that tag in a minute, and I'll show you the 10-second check at the shelf that saves you a whole spring of reseeding. 30 years on the same half-acre, and I spread a bag of this exact stuff once myself, watered it like a proud new father, and watched half of it vanish by the next May. If you've stood out here at the fence with me before, you know the drill. I've been working my way through this whole store, one shelf at a time. We did the fertilizer aisle, we did the gas can in the garage. Today we're parked at the seed rack, and the seed rack might just be the sneakiest shelf in the building. So let's start with what's actually in that cheap bag, because the name on the front is the first clue. Builder's mix, contractor's mix. Sometimes it hides behind a friendly phrase like quick lawn or sun and shade printed on a big floppy sack. That seed was built for one job, and it is not the job you think it is. It's the seed a builder throws down on a raw, scraped lot the week before the open house, so the new construction yard is green in the listing photos, and the bare dirt doesn't wash into the street the first time it rains. That's the whole assignment. Make bare ground green, fast and cheap, right now. Nobody mixing that bag was thinking about what your lawn looks like in 2 years. They were thinking about this weekend. And to pull off green right now, you need a grass that comes up almost overnight. That grass is called annual ryegrass, and it's the engine of the entire cheap bag. Annual ryegrass is the fastest cool season grass there is. You spread it across the soil, and in about 7 to 10 days, you've got green blades pushing up. 7 days. The premium seed is still sitting there thinking about it, and this stuff is already showing off. So your new yard looks fantastic by midsummer, thick and lush, and you feel like a genius. But look at that first word again, because it's doing a lot of heavy lifting. Annual. Annual ryegrass is built to live exactly one season and then die. That's not a defect in the bag. That is the plant doing precisely what it was bred to do. It sprints up out of the dirt, it holds the soil for a summer, and then it browns out and quits, and the next spring you're staring at bald patches where all that fast green used to be. The grass didn't fail you. You bought a one-year grass and expected a lifetime lawn. And every bit of this is printed on the bag. You just have to flip the bag over. On the back of every bag of grass seed sold in this country, there's a little tag, the seed analysis tag, and it's there because of a federal law called the Federal Seed Act. Somewhere along the line, the government decided seed companies had to tell you the truth about what's in the sack by weight, in plain numbers. So flip the bag over and you'll find 4 percentages, and those 4 are required by law to add up to exactly 100% of what you're holding. Pure seed, the actual grass you wanted, other crop seed, other farm seeds that hitched a ride, inert matter, and weed seed. 4 numbers, 100%, no hiding it. On a good bag, that pure seed number is way up high, and the other 3 are tiny. On a cheap contractor's bag, those other 3 start eating into the total in a way that ought to make you a little angry. Let me walk them one at a time. Start with inert matter, because that's the one that quietly picks your pocket. Inert matter is the stuff in the bag that is not alive and is never going to grow. Soil, chaff, dust, little broken bits of seed hull. It is filler, plain and simple. Now remember how seed gets sold. It's sold by the weight of the bag, so every pound of soil and dust in there counts as a pound of product you paid full price for. When that inert number on the tag runs high, you didn't grab a bargain. You hauled home a sack that's part lawn seed and part dirt, and you paid grass seed money for the dirt. Think about that next time the big cheap bag feels nice and heavy and substantial in your arms. Some of that reassuring weight is literally the ground you're standing on, bagged up and sold back to you. Then there's the weed seed line, and this one would be funny if it weren't your yard. That number is the percentage of actual weed seed legally allowed to be riding along in the bag. It's usually small, but small is not 0. You can stand right there at the shelf and buy, printed in black and white on the tag, a measured little dose of the exact weeds you'll be down on your knees yanking out of that lawn all next summer. The other crop line can hide surprises too, sometimes a coarser, faster grass you never asked for, mixed right in with the lawn you wanted. So if weeds showed up in your new lawn out of nowhere, you weren't imagining it. For a lot of folks, the weeds came home in the very same bag as the grass. And I promised you a fix, and it really is just a 10-second flip and read at the shelf. We're almost there. There are 2 more numbers on that tag you need to understand first. The next one is germination, and it's the honest number. Germination is the percentage of that pure seed that will actually sprout once it's in your soil. 90% germination means nearly everything you spread comes up. A low germination number means you're scattering a bag where a big chunk of the seed is just going to lie in the dirt and do nothing. And here's the sneaky part. That number isn't frozen in place. Seed is alive, and it slowly loses the power to sprout as it ages, sitting in a hot warehouse or aging on a shelf. So right next to germination, the tag prints a test date, the actual day they tested that seed. A bag with a test date from this year is fresh. A bag whose tag goes back 2 seasons has been quietly losing germination the whole time it sat there waiting for you. The price sticker is the number everybody reads. The test date is the number that tells you how alive your seed even is. One more tell on that tag, and then I'll hand you the whole check in a single breath. Look at how the grass itself is named. Good seed lists, real cultivar names, specific bred varieties printed right next to the species. Cheap seed often just says Kentucky bluegrass, flat like that, or something even vaguer like lawn seed mixture with no variety name at all. That generic label is its own quiet tell. A company that paid for a strong, named, tested grass is going to brag about that name right on the tag. A company that just shoveled in whatever bulk seed was cheapest that month has nothing to brag about, so it stays vague. When the back of the bag gets shy about names, the front of the bag is doing all the selling, and the front of the bag, remember, said grows anywhere. Now let me be straight with you, because I am not here to tell you that cheap bag is garbage. It isn't. Contractor's Mix is not a scam, and annual ryegrass is not junk. For the job it was actually built to do, it is exactly the right cheap tool, and it does that job well. If you've got a raw, scraped slope washing mud down the driveway every time it storms, that fast ryegrass will grab the soil and hold it. If you need a quick temporary green cover on a lot while you plan the real lawn, that's your bag. And if you're sowing a slow premium grass and you want a fast nurse grass to come up and shield the soil while the good stuff takes its sweet time, annual ryegrass is genuinely useful. The bag isn't lying about being fast and cheap. It is fast and cheap. The failure isn't the seed. The failure is grabbing the erosion control bag and expecting it to be the lawn you keep for the next 10 years. And the better path costs you something, so I'll be honest about that too. A quality bag named cultivars, a high pure seed number, low inert, fresh germination, is going to cost you more per pound at the register. There's no dancing around it, and some of the very best lawn grasses are slow. Good Kentucky bluegrass can take 2 to 4 weeks just to break the surface, while you stand over the bare dirt wondering if you did something wrong. You give up the instant green. The cheap bag buys you a gorgeous July and a bold May. The good bag asks for a little patience and a little more money, and then it actually stays. So I'm not telling you to never buy the cheap bag. I'm telling you to flip it over, read the 4 numbers, and match the seed to the job in front of you. So here's the whole thing in one breath, the 10-second check, standing right there at the rack. Flip the bag over, find pure seed and make sure it's high. Find inert and weed and make sure they're low. Find germination, up around 90% and not limping in under 70. Make sure the test date is recent, and make sure the grasses have real names. That's it. That's the spring you save, holding a bag in the aisle while everybody around you grabs the cheap sack off the top of the pile and walks straight to the register. I check every bag in this store that way now. And speaking of the next bag, stay right here at the fence, because next time we're walking 3 feet down to the weed and feed, the stuff you're told to throw down on a schedule, and I'm going to show you why so much of that bag blows away before it ever does the one thing you bought it for. Hit subscribe, and I'll see you at the next